Hey, it's America's Supermom. Thank you for joining me on my podcast. This series is the Corona Chronicles. I created this so that we would have an outlet of positivity in the midst of a lot of negativity. You know what I'm talking about. All the news, the fear around this virus, how it can affect us, what the new normal is looking like, and how so many things have changed that a lot of people feel like um, it is the end of the world, so to speak. So, this podcast was created so that those of us who have hope, who are willing to move forward with this new normal and innovate new things that will help us to be creative and positive. That is what this platform is for us to come together and share that positivity and that light with those who may need it. So if you're interested in sharing your insight, please reach out because we can never have enough positive news. So sit back and enjoy the show.
All right. I want to thank you guys today for joining me. I'm so excited about my next guest. We actually met through Facebook and a mutual acquaintance, Janice Porter. So we want to give her a shout out.
Mm-hmm.
But very excited because through that introduction, we were able to collaborate on a project regarding suicide prevention. So I'm sure we'll be able to dive into that topic of some sort throughout the interview. But was really excited to be able to connect with another woman who's passionate about using her experiences and being able to inspire and teach others to overcome adversities and challenges that she's been able to conquer herself. So I'm really excited about this interview. And at this time, I'm going to give Jackie the floor to be able to introduce herself before we dive into the interview.
Thank you, Lachelle. I am super excited to be here. For those of you who don't know me, I can talk really fast. So, Lachelle, you got permission to slow me down. Okay. I'm an entrepreneur. Been an entrepreneur most of my life, and I started out as entrepreneur by accident. I was a single mom, and at the end of a work week, I had a problem. I could pay the rent or I could pay the daycare. I couldn't pay both. So I started my entrepreneurial journey. Now, through raising kids, single parent, all of these fun experiences, the challenges we've overcome, including 2 bouts of clinical depression, went into a period of time that everybody thought I was okay and everybody thought my life was good. What they did not know was that I had a secret. And my secret was that one of my daughters attempted to kill herself more than once. And because I was trying to keep that a secret, my businesses never really thrived. I mean, I got by, but I didn't do well. And when my daughter broke the silence last summer, it's been less than a year, she broke the silence and started sharing publicly about what she's learned along the way, having survived. And when she shared that she still struggled with suicidal thoughts today, she's now in her 30s, high 30s. I was like, oh my God, how did I miss this again?
Wow.
And then I found out that over 6,000 parents every day in the U.S. are dealing with the same nightmare because over 3,000 teens attempt to take their own lives every day. And I'm like, we can do better than this. And that's how the mission got started, was just this, we can do better than this as a country. We can do better than this as a community. And we can do better than this as parents.
Awesome.
And that's what's behind it all. So I'm on a kick-ass journey to kick people into awareness, because without awareness, you cannot change. And the problem is that people are aware that there's a problem, but they're not aware that it could be in their neighborhood or in their own home. And so that's how this got started. When I did a little research, I found out a few things, and none of them were good.
Yeah, I really commend you for that. And you mentioned that, you had this secret. And so I want to start there because what do you think is the reason that we keep something so important a secret? I mean, what is it that we're feeling that we feel we have to hide it?
Oh, well, I don't have to go far to find one possible answer for that one. I
Mhm.
come from a family that did not air their dirty laundry in public. And there is nothing
Mm.
dirtier than mental challenges. And people assume that mental illness must be behind somebody taking their own life because they wouldn't do it if they were sane. It's a myth.
Mm.
It's not true. It's not true. We
Mhm.
there's so much. I mean, I can geek out on the neuroscience now because I studied all of neuroscience trying to just cure myself of depression, which
Mhm.
I'm really happy to say that so far that seems to be working. And I've been medication free for 17 years now.
Amen.
But that's the challenge, is that we don't understand completely how the brain works. It's a growing field of study. What I
Mhm.
do know is why we do what we do. That much I have figured out. The only reason that someone takes their own life is the same reason that someone eats chocolate fudge. It
Mm.
seems like a good idea at the time. And when it comes
Mhm.
to suicide, which is a permanent solution, it seems like the best option because we've told
Mm.
ourselves enough, we've sold ourselves that there's no way out of our current pain and dying would be better than living. Because suicide is not because somebody wants to die. People
Right.
people attempt suicide because they just don't want to live the life that they're currently living and they believe they are powerless to change it.
Mm.
And that's what it is. So
Yeah.
that's the other question. The why do we keep it a secret is because you don't air your dirty laundry in public. Because
Mhm.
other people's opinions are usually more powerful because we haven't taken the time to sit down and figure out what our own opinion is. So we borrow other people's.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's my opinion.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think, that there is a lot to be said about that because I just know even in the situation of many people that are depressed,
Hmm.
we don't talk about it. It's a secret because we feel that it is some sort of weakness or it's something that makes us less than someone else in comparison to others.
Well, you've
And
got the comparison factor. I think that's
mhm,
a big one. And
mhm,
we're always comparing our insides to other people's outsides
yes. Now
because we don't
explain
know.
that because a lot of people will miss that, and that's a golden nugget that you just dropped here.
All right. We take our hot mess of what we
Mhm,
know about ourselves and
mhm,
we look outside of ourselves at somebody else and we notice that on the outside, they look like they've got it all going on.
right.
And if they look like they've got it all together and we feel like we don't, it doesn't matter
Mhm,
that we look like we do to other people.
mhm,
We're comparing how we feel about ourselves with the outside of what other people are projecting. And that
mhm,
doesn't mean it's not true. I'm not saying they're pretending, but we're
right.
just not comparing apples and apples here.
Mhm,
The
mhm,
cure for that is to stop comparing. But
right.
that's sort of like asking most of us to stop breathing.
Right.
So the second cure, if you can't just absolutely give up comparing,
Mhm,
you might be able to stop judging one as better than the other. So if you can't stop
mm,
comparing, maybe you can stop judging
mhm,
and putting yourself in a hierarchy. The
mhm,
third thing, though, and the reason, it's the label I put on myself, that
mhm,
if my daughter attempted to take her own life, that meant I was not a good enough mom.
right.
Now, why would I want to talk about that? Why would I want anybody else to know that about
Right.
me? And it was that judgment, which is why I say judgment is, you get this. Judgment is like key here. I judged myself as not good enough, and it's not true. And so now my mantra is you can't do it wrong. Go ahead and judge everything that you've ever done as good enough.
Right.
If you do, I mean, this is, and I'm going to, because I know that you'll understand this, and some people will, some won't, but my grandfather was a preacher, so I'm going to put it in those terms. And it was Bill Cosby who actually brought this out in one of his routines, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. God judged everything he did in the creation process, and every single thing that he created, he judged as good.
So true.
He did not say stupendous. He didn't use any of the language that we use today. He just judged it as good. Well, if God has judged us as good, what are we doing judging ourselves as not good?
Right.
What if we look at our whole life and everything we've done through the eyes of God and judge it as good enough? And here's what happens when you do that. When you wave that magic wand of good enough, you are now giving yourself power to make change.
Right.
But as long as you have judged something as not good enough, that's an energy drain and you don't have any power to change it. So this is the second key, is you got to have some energy around it. You've got to have a flat place, a solid ground to start from. And if you've got things in your past that you are allowing to shame you, that you're allowing to judge yourself as less than, not good enough in my language, fix that. And you fix it by making one decision. All you have to do is decide this one time. Whatever I did was good enough. Now that I've done it, I probably learned something I can do better.
Right.
I can do better in the future. I can't do better in the past.
Right.
You cannot should on yourself and expect to become successful. If you think you should have done something different, and this is true about life, if you think somebody else should have done something other than what they did, or they, whatever it is that you're shoulding, that SHOULD word, whatever you're shoulding on somebody, as soon as you've got that coming out of your mouth, your power goes with it.
Wow.
Your power goes with it, Lachelle. And the first thing I had to do after I started judging things was good enough was break it down and realized where I was living. I was living in Shouldville. Shouldville is this really dark, dank place where lives get lived and dreams go to die. Because if you're shooting on yourself and judging yourself as something in your life that it was not good enough, something you decided, something you did, something you didn't do, that something in your life was not good enough, you're living in Shouldville. Your dreams cannot grow there. So I just invite you to instead of, I can't say stop shooting on yourself, because as soon as you try to do a negative, you're actually doubling down on the thought. So instead, I've got a 4-step pathway to get out of it, Shouldville. Okay. And it's something that everybody who wants it can just go and get this off of the internet. It's up on a website called Leaving Shouldville, and it's a postcard. It will give them permanent freedom from shooting on themselves and other people. And all they have to do is read it out loud and often. Are you ready? I'll read it to you.
Yes.
All right. Here we go. Step 1. You say this out loud and often. Every penny I have ever spent was well spent, even if I would not spend a penny that way today. This is no guilt around money. What would your life be like if you had no guilt around money? So that's the first one, is about money. The second one is about time. Every second I have ever lived was well lived, even if I would not choose to live a second that way today. That's no regrets. What if you had no regrets about your time?
Mm-hmm.
The third one, every word I've ever read, every word a teacher ever said was useful, even if I disagree with it. This is about no judgment.
Mm-hmm.
It is judging it all good. Judging it all good is just the easiest way to make sure that you get whatever that lesson is that you were just listening to or reading.
Mm-hmm.
And the fourth one is every person I ever met enriched my life in some way, even if I would not choose to spend a second with them today.
Mm-hmm.
And this is freedom from blame.
Mm-hmm.
This gave me the freedom to stop judging, comparing, criticizing, shoulding on myself and others. And I think that it's probably the first step away from the ledge.
Right.
You know, the ledge is when you feel like there's nothing to go back for. There's nothing in your life worth having. And people get to the ledge for a variety of different reasons. A lot of people shared their stories on the suicide prevention show that you were just so wonderful enough to be on. And the bottom line is that they thought that their families would be better off without them. That's one of the justifications. And it's not true. It's not true. And even though we know that's not true because we've lost people to suicide in our lives, our brains at that moment just think it's a good idea. So talking yourself off the ledge is one skill set. But our whole program, everything in the Make It a Great Day movement, everything in the Suicide Prevention Society is geared towards giving you all of the tools that you could ever use where you'll never go near the ledge because you'll be so on purpose, on fire, mission driven, you know, having momentum in your life. You'll have a definition of success that you cannot fail with. And from that point, I don't have to worry about anybody talking themselves off the ledge. They're coated with emotional Teflon.
Right.
You know, they're never going to go near the ledge.
I love that. And so the issue is, like you said, they're coated with emotional Teflon. So the actual act of creating that environment, you know, because a lot of people think, oh, I can just turn over a new leaf. I can think positive. You know, today's going to be a new day, and talk someone through that process of empowering yourself to create the right environment so that you can be in a situation where you don't have that ledge type thinking.
Yeah, it's I've been doing nothing but creating tools, and I didn't even know I was creating tools for this. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a clue that that's what I was doing because I didn't know I was going to be doing something on suicide prevention. Here's who I was a year ago. Hi, I'm Jackie Simmons. I believe that women sell themselves short and that they could sell themselves on themselves and succeed in business. And to help them do that, I teach them sales from the inside out. And that's how I introduced myself. I had programs teaching women entrepreneurs how to sell. Now I introduce myself with a different, I believe, or I heard, or have you heard? Have you heard about the number of parents who are totally clueless to the fact that their children are on the verge of killing themselves? We believe that every teen is at risk and every parent needs to know how to have the conversation. So that's what we teach. We teach how to have the 6-step conversation about suicide so that your child doesn't go near the ledge.
Phenomenal. I love that. And it's just like, hey, right to the point, because how often do we have that denial, hiding behind masks, surfacely touching the subject, but not going too deep? So, for many parents who are listening, especially during this time of lockdown, quarantine, new beginning, away from friends, I mean, just world changed dramatically. What are some signs or some proactive measures that some parents could take in order to prevent their children from going down the wrong path?
The first thing they need to do is decide to stop being busy long enough to have the
Mm,
conversation. That's
mhm,
step one. Now, this is the hardest step because I was good at being busy, and I was
mhm,
busy because I, honest to God, didn't want to know. So there's no
mm,
shame in this game, people. We know you don't want to know, that at some level you just don't want to know that your child could be in so much mental and emotional pain that they would take their own life. But you're going to
mhm,
have to find out. This is
mhm,
your job as a parent. It's going to be uncomfortable. We get that.
mhm,
Decide that you're going to stop being busy long enough to have the conversation.
mhm,
Step two is just be willing to listen to them talk about whatever they want to talk. Start the conversation with, hey, let's chat. What's new? What's up?
mhm,
What's the best thing
mhm,
that's happened to you so far today or this week?
mhm,
And then just listen.
mhm,
Why? Because we are starving to be heard.
mhm,
Once you have listened and they have wandered wherever they wanted to wander, then you introduce the topic, which is, have you heard about the rising rates of teen suicide?
mhm,
That's how you introduce the topic. You just
mhm,
ask. I
mhm,
know that sounds a little blunt, but you
mhm,
just ask. And their answer could be short or long. It doesn't matter. You just, when you're ready, you move on to the next question. And this is one conversation usually.
right.
The next question is, do you have a friend who's tried or died? Do you know someone who's tried or died? Now, this is very neutral language. I'm not
Mhm,
asking, do you have a friend thinking about suicide? Do you have a friend thinking about killing themselves? I'm
mhm,
asking, do you have a friend who's tried or died? Do you know someone?
mhm,
And then you just listen. And this is where you might have to take a couple of deep breaths because you're going
mhm,
to want to jump in and fix it. But this is a
mhm,
listening without judgment, without
mhm,
problem solving, without
mhm,
fixing. You got to keep your brain out of strategy making mode.
mhm,
And you just listen. That's why deep breathing helps.
mhm,
Now, for this next question, you might have to, hold your breath in order to hold your tongue. I'm just giving
mhm,
you the heads up. Because the fifth question is, do you have a story? So now the way you ask it, neutral language. Have you ever thought about leaving that way?
mhm,
I'm not asking them if they've ever attempted. I'm just asking them if they've ever had the thought. Why? Because it is a normal thought to have.
mhm,
There is nothing mental illness-ish about having a thought that would lead you down the road to suicide. Freud talked about it. Okay, this is the way
mhm,
the brain works. It's called the natural negative bias of the brain. It's part of your problem solving mechanism. So it's
mhm,
normal for them to have the thought, but you don't know that. So as a parent, this feels really scary if they've been thinking about it.
mhm,
After they've talked through that and told you whether or not they have a story or what it was or whatever, they could tell you, I thought about it, but then I dismissed it. That's fine. Whatever they tell you, that's good. Just say good.
mhm,
And then you ask the sixth question. And the sixth question is, do you have reasons to stay? You're
mhm,
basically asking, what do you like about your life? But you can't
mhm,
ask it that way because if you're talking to a teenager, they will go into a liturgy of everything that's wrong with their life
mhm,
because that's the way the brain works. The brain naturally goes to the negative. So you have to
mhm,
ask it in a way that will get you the information that you want. Do you
mhm,
have reasons to stay? So if you ask it that way, you will get the information that will help you. Now, here's where you go into high alert. If they don't have any reasons for staying and they've shared that they've had thinking about leaving, you sit down with them and while you're together, you call the 800 number for suicide prevention, the national 800 number. It's really easy. It's 800-273-8255. You just have that phone call while you're with them. Why? Because we're more likely to talk to a stranger than we are to talk about these things with somebody who might know the players and the pain. Teens are no different than us in this one respect. And that's how you have that conversation. Now, for people who want to get more support around this, we train people to be advocates. Okay. An advocate is trained in how to have this conversation even with strangers, and all of the other tools that we have that are all preventative tools. We've got resources for anyone who you think needs to find out more about their mental health. And we've got anonymous and free self-assessments that people can take around anxiety and depression. All of this is available through the Advocates Program. And we set up this program because the one person that we are the hardest on is ourselves. And if we're busy beating ourselves up, we really don't have the bandwidth to have this conversation. So if you're struggling around this, you need to have it, but you're not sure you need to have it, so you're putting it off, or you just don't. And you want some support, come into the Advocates Program. Let us support you. That's what we're here for. We are your advocate for living, your advocate for staying, so that you can become an advocate for them to stay.
I love that. And I love the whole thing of, opening up people's eyes to recognize that, advocates are necessary. We sometimes as parents feel like we're supposed to have all the answers. And I love the point that you make about just listening and not fixing, because that is usually a natural tendency to take away that pain or suffering or whatever it is that we may diagnose situation. And talk to the audience about why not fixing it is so important. Because I think a lot of people feel like, oh, well, give them the answers. This is going to solve everything. But, talk to them about what that does if we do try to fix it.
You can't give somebody reasons for staying. Trust me, I tried. You can't do that for somebody else. You can only do that for yourself. It's personal. The minute that you try to justify, rationalize, argue them out of what they just shared with you, you put down a brick in a wall. And every time that we rush in to fix something for our children, we're adding another brick to that wall. And you know what we're doing with that wall? We are separating them from their self-esteem. And every time that a parent helps a child rather than giving that child adversity, giving that child something to struggle with, so they get a sense of themselves as being able to handle challenges. They get to flex their own problem-solving muscles. Every time we take that away from them, we are handicapping them as adults. We are handicapping them as working things through. We are taking away the possibility of them having emotional resilience. And we do it so often, it has a name. It's called corrective complex, where we try to correct their thinking. We try to correct their wording. We try to correct their emotions, and we tell them, don't feel the way you feel. We do it, and we do it out of love. And out of love, we lose them. you can love your kid right into helplessness. It has a name.
Oh.
See, our children were not born helpless. How do we know? You watch a baby learn to walk. Okay. They're problem solving. They're figuring it out. They are natural born problem solvers. And then we start helping. And they learn helplessness. And I will tell you what, it is a short ride from helplessness to hopelessness. And without emotional resiliency, all it's going to take is a day that they're unhappy. And unhappy is going to shift to unmotivated. And it's going to look a little bit like grumpiness and maybe depression. It's going to look like that. But what it is unmotivated. And unmotivated slides into helpless. The more we try to help them, the more they are learning helplessness. And they can learn it all the way down that road to hopeless.
Wow. That is so profound. I heard somebody, I interviewed someone last week, and they said that if the strong carry the weak on their back, the back gets injured for the strong, and then the weak are not able to use their legs because they haven't been using them or something like that. I'm messing it up. But the issue is the whole thing about enabling them.
I used to believe that enabling someone was when helping them was hurting me.
Right.
And then I read a book called The Enabler. And she has it a little different. She states it differently. Her way of saying it is, it's when helping them hurts them. And with that as a definition, every time we go to help a child, rather than helping them figure it out, we're teaching them helplessness.
Right.
Now, here's the problem. The world rewards results, grades, paychecks. The world rewards results for the most part. And yet praising our children for results rather than effort puts another brick in that wall between them and their self-esteem.
Right.
Because then it's amazing how the brain will start to equate love with me accomplishing something. Not because I am who I am, not because I'm willing, but because of a result. And then if they do something and they don't get the result, they don't feel like they're loved, because we're only praising them when they get a result. All of a sudden, guess what? They don't get the result. They don't get any praise. They don't feel like they're loved. And it's not our intention to deprive our children of love, but it's the way their brains get wired. And nobody taught me this as a parent. Nobody taught me this when I ran my own daycare and had to take all of these certification classes. I didn't get this message. And now I'm on a mission to spread this message, because as parents, we can do better. And all we have to do, believe it or not, is do less.
Right.
We do a better job of parenting when we do less for our kids. And we give them more. We give them more adversity to overcome. We let them be challenged at the level they can be challenged. I know people who damage their whole, one of our speakers pointed this out. He said, whether or not a kid does the dishes, when it's, quote, their turn to do the dishes, it's their chore. How long would it take the mom to do the dishes? 10 minutes? How long did she stay mad at that kid? Days. It doesn't seem worth it. Go do the dishes yourself and have a good relationship with your child. And this is not making their lives easy. This is about you being able to be in a good mood with them and inviting them to come into the kitchen and do it with you and sing a song while you do it. You can get creative when you're not angry. You can't get creative and resourceful when you're pissed.
So true.
So you got to judge whatever they've done is good enough, just like you got to judge whatever you've done is good enough. Start with yourself. Start with yourself. Nobody has to know what you're doing, but they'll notice. They'll notice that you're less grumpy.
Right.
They'll notice that you speak softly. They'll notice that you've got time to listen to them. You know, I'm blessed. I've got a grandson on the spectrum. What he taught me about listening and the need to be heard is a lesson I needed to learn. Because I'm busy. You know, I'm the grandmom that shows up and we redecorate the house and rip apart furniture and, you know, project. I'm busy. They're busy when I come. We're busy.
Right.
What I needed to be was available to listen. Yeah. Sometimes being busy is a good time to listen. You know, pulling weeds, doing some kind of repetitive chore.
Right.
That's a good time for them to talk because you don't have to look them in the eye. Yeah.
Right.
And this was something I had to learn. Just if you're going to have a conversation with a female, eyeball to eyeball often works really well. If you're going to have a conversation with the male, side by side works better. That's why while you're walking, while you're driving, they're often more willing to talk. Men don't do as well generically. Now, this is generic and generalized. Yeah. But men don't do as well eyeball to eyeball. But so even two corners of a table works better than across the table from them. And I can't tell you the brain, there's wiring involved. The bottom line is if you just know it's simple. If you're going to be talking about something like this, talking about it while you're sitting at least catty-cornered to each other is better than eyeball to eyeball, even for girls in this case. So that's one of the other strategies is how do you have the conversation? Well, you know, if it's on a Zoom call, it's on a Zoom call. You're going to be eyeball to eyeball. Not a lot you can do about that except not be staring straight into the camera.
Right.
Yeah. But otherwise, pick your place to talk. Yeah, pick your place to talk. This is not a conversation to have while either one of you is driving. I'm just saying.
Right.
Okay. But sit on a park bench. Yeah. But have a conversation.
I love this. I mean, this is just so informative. And I mean, this has just been great. I've got pages and notes over here, so that's a great thing. You know, so what is the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
The best way for the audience to get a hold of me is probably going to be, oh, geez. I'm like, wait a minute. I was going to give them a gift.
Okay. This is good. I'm sure they'll welcome that.
Is that all right?
Yes, absolutely.
Instead of giving them my contact information, can I give them a gift? Absolutely. All right. The gift is up on a website. You can't, CANT, UYOU, you can't do it wrong.com.
Okay.
And if they go there, they can get the know, like, and trust factor quiz.
Okay.
And they will find out about how much they know, like, and trust themselves. Because when you know, like, and trust yourself and you see where you could go a little more, everything in here is on a scale. So you can go for where do I want to do a little improving here? I'm a firm believer that if people could raise their know, like, and trust factor even just a little bit, that's coating themselves more with that emotional Teflon. Other people's opinions will stay other people's opinions when you know, like, and trust yourself enough to have one of your own, especially about yourself. And then it's a lot easier to have these conversations with the people you care about, because we've been talking about teens, but suicide is not just for teens.
Right.
It's becoming an epidemic, and it was an epidemic before the pandemic. During the pandemic, this is an epidemic that's growing fast.
So true. So true. Yeah.
So this is the
Well, this
important conversation.
Well, I really appreciate that kind, generous offer, and I'm sure that many people who are listening would be overjoyed to take you up on that free gift. So I just want to thank you again for your time and just some great nuggets and insight for many people who are kind of struggling with this right now and feeling like, it is a secret, or even some parents may have been struggling with some of these thoughts in their own head. So, as we conclude, what is the final word that you would like to share with the audience?
You're good enough, just as you are. You always have been. You always will be. And as soon as you hug that into your heart will expand and you'll discover that everybody around you is good enough for who they are. And you'll be able to start making decisions easier to make your life better.
Awesome. Great words. Well, I just want to thank you so much, Jackie. So glad that our paths crossed and looking forward to many more collaborations in the future.
Thank you so much, Lachelle. I appreciate it.
Oh, you are so welcome. Well, you stay safe and I'll be in touch, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you all.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining me on this episode. I really enjoy providing content that inspires and challenges us to be a better version of ourselves. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, please email me at info@lachelleatkins.com. You can also reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, or my YouTube channel. If there was something in this episode that resonated with you, it probably will resonate with someone else. So please share it. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. But those aha moments, those moments of really getting something and changing your perspective are very, very pivotal in having people change the trajectory of their lives. And so being able to share insightful information so that other people can grow is the easiest thing that we can do as we pay it forward. So again, I want to thank you all for listening. And if you have time, write out a review. Go to iTunes, Anchor, wherever you can find this podcast on any of those platforms and write a review about what impact this episode had on you, what you learned, or whatever. Any feedback is great because it just helps me to understand what content is really beneficial for those that are listening. So again, I want to thank you all for your support and taking the time to spend some time with me and my guests. And I wish you a wonderful day. Thanks for listening.